Hi everyone, welcome back to Art with Miss Gwen. We are talking about the artist Vasily Kandinsky this week. He was an inventor of abstract art. Abstract art is art where the artist is not representing something realistic, but rather using shapes and colors and lines to express more of an idea. Here's a painting that we can look at where you can see straight lines, more organic curved lines, and you could look at something like this here and maybe you could say this looks like a head and a body. When you're looking at it, you can make meaning out of what you see. The artist is just giving us that idea. So we're going to be inspired by the painting similar to this one by Kandinsky. Okay, so in order to do that, we are going to need a few items to help us make the straight lines and the shapes and to make curved shapes. So what you need to start out with today is a piece of paper, any color, any size, a pencil, a marker if you have it to outline the lines, but you don't have to. You can use a dark crayon, you can use a colored pencil, you can use nothing. Okay, and then to make the straight lines, you can really use anything that you might have in your house. If you have a ruler, then that's great. That's what it's for. It's for measuring and it's for having a straight line. So you could use a ruler of any size. If you don't have a ruler, that's fine. You could use just a folded piece of paper. Make a straight line using the paper like that. Amazing. You could use a book if you have one, as long as the adults say that it's okay. You could use a book. You could use a really big book. I can make a line all the way across my paper using this big book. See how easy that is? And if I wanted to make round shapes, I could use anything that's a circle. So I have a cup. I can make a little bit bigger circle with the top, a smaller circle with the bottom. I have a can here. I can make a circle around the can. I even have some coffee. There's coffee in here. I have a coffee can. You can also use the lid from the coffee or any other containers that you have, as long as your people and the adults in your house know that you're using it. Okay, so that's all we need. And then when you get to the decision if you want to color, if you have crayons or colored pencils or markers, you can use them, but you don't have to. Okay, so we already made a long line diagonally across the paper, and then a little one so we can add some more lines. So I'm going to use my ruler. You guys can use whatever you have. Okay, I'm going to make a vertical line over here, a line that goes up and down. I'm starting all the way from the edge and going about there. I can turn this into a shape by connecting a line here and then all the way to the edge. Oh, I made a triangle. I have a diagonal line, I have straight up, and I can make a horizontal line over here, just so I have one. Okay, if I want to make curved lines or wavy lines, I don't need a straight edge. I can just make a curved line all the way across here. I can make it go off the paper. I can make a spiral. We've been looking at those. I can make a spiral. I could do something interesting in this space between these two lines. I'm going to connect them a little bit. If I want to make a circle, I could use my cup. I'll make it go off the paper a little bit. Makes it a little more interesting to me. Okay, I could add a little circle inside there so I could turn the cup, use the bottom. And because I'm using a pencil, that wasn't so perfect, which is fine with me, but I can erase some of those little edges, fix my circle, thicken the line up a little bit. If I was using a book, I could use this book to make some lines over here if you're going across. Whatever you want. This is abstract art. So I'm not drawing a house or a person or a horse. I'm drawing whatever I want. Let me go in here. You can also make straight lines just by hand. They're just never going to be as straight or perfect. Okay, maybe we'll add a little bit more curvy line over here. I'll use my soda can. I'll put a circle over here going over some of the lines that I already had. Okay, so you can do as many lines as you want. I'm going to stop here. When I'm done, my next step is to outline it. It helps so that you guys can see what I've drawn, and I think it looks nice, and it does look similar to the way Kandinsky has really dark black lines. So I'm going to outline now. Okay, so I finished outlining all of my shapes. If I have some lines that I want to get rid of, I can erase them, but I don't worry too much about that. Okay, so if you don't want to use color or you don't have color, we can look at a little bit of shading. We can add a little bit of value to the artwork, a little bit of interest by just shading with light and dark. So I can add a little here, maybe over here. Remember, abstract art, it's whatever you feel is the way your art should look. Just as little or as much as you want to add. You can even just use your finger to blend that and make it look kind of interesting there. Now it just looks sort of like a fog is over there. Color some of these. Whatever you want. So if you're choosing to shade with the pencil, you could keep going. I'm going to use the same picture, but I'm going to color in it a couple different ways. If I have crayons, as we've been using a lot, I might pick some colors to use. So I want to kind of color along the edges of some of my shapes. So if I was using crayon, I would keep going and color as much as I want with the crayon. You can, and you know, I usually encourage you to color the whole background, but when you look at Kandinsky's picture here, he has a little bit of color in the background, but really you're focusing on the shapes, and the background kind of makes it stand out. So it's okay how you choose to do it. So you could color in between each of these shapes, get it really colorful, however you want to do it. I could get this all the way up to here so it's really cut in half like an orange over here. However you want to do it. Now I know that a number of you do have markers at home, so I want to show you something that you could do with your markers in this project or in any other. But if you don't have markers, don't feel bad. It's okay. Look, my box isn't even full. Some of them were dried out. But we'll use the ones that I have. So I'm going to use some of these to also color along the edges of these shapes. And hopefully some of you remember, if you tilt your marker to the side a little bit, it makes it a little bit easier to color a bigger space. Or you can have it straight up, but sometimes it starts to dry out a little faster while you're coloring. Okay. And I want to go along the edge here so I can have, it's kind of fun if you have crayons and markers, you could use as many materials as you want to, but the extra effect we're going to add, you wouldn't be able to use the crayons for. Okay, so add some more colors. And you can combine this also with the shading with the pencil. It looks kind of interesting having it all together, however you want. So I'm going right up against along my curvy line here. Maybe I meant it to be like a snake, maybe not. If you look at it and you think it's a snake, that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna add some blue over in my checkerboard over here. And I'm leaving some white space next to the places that I'm using the marker for. You could do that or not, but you can see why when I add the last step. Okay, so that's in the middle there. I'll just add a little bit of pink. So again, I'm not coloring for as long as I would if I wasn't doing this lesson for you guys at home, but I don't want it to be too long. Okay, so I just have some colors. So I have the black, I have the white, I have the shading, I have some color with some crayon, and some color with some marker. So what I want to show you that we can do, because most of you don't have paint at home, just a few of you have sent in some projects with paint, but most of us don't have paint at our house, is a way to use our washable markers to make a little bit of a paint effect. I'm not gonna, it doesn't work on the places that I used a Sharpie or a permanent marker, just the washable markers. So if you have a brush, great. If you don't have a brush and you just have a Q-tip, that's fine. You can use a tissue or a paper towel or even just your finger. I'll do it with my finger, assuming that I don't have a lot of supplies. And get it a little bit wet. And then I'm going and just along where I used the marker, if I pull out, if I move from the colored part of the paper to the white part, it almost looks like watercolors. It's very light. I don't want to use too much water because my paper will start to get really wet and kind of make a mess. Just a very little bit. If I had a paintbrush, I can do it with the paintbrush. If you have a Q-tip, I can use that. But the simplest thing is your finger. Most of us have fingers available to us. And this isn't yucky to those of you who don't like to touch things. It's just wet. And I can wash this off at the ends, but I'm not going to wash it till the end. If you can wait, that's great. Okay, so I went all the way along my red shape. I can do some over by my blue shapes. I can go over the parts with the pencil, that's fine. Because I used a Sharpie for my black outline, it doesn't move. If you just used your washable marker for the black lines, you want to try to stay away from them. So you're using a really light touch, just making it look a little different. And this is something you could do at any time if you have washable markers in your house, which not everybody does, but if you have them, this is something you could do with any project. I can go against my pink. I could just do it there, and maybe over here, leave it in the middle, and a little bit of my purple. So you can see how Kandinsky had some really light colors like that also. So we've made it look a lot like his. So using all the techniques on one piece of paper, I've made mine. You can make your choices by just shading with pencil, by just using crayons, by using markers and not adding the water, or by adding the water. It's your choice. This is your artwork. Okay? Have a great day. Bye.